Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 12th already, and this is the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I guess we're going to start it off. Let's see, Patty Clapper is in the room with me. Francie is online, as is Kelly, and I believe Steve also. Is that correct? I haven't seen him on screen yet, but Kelly's there. Hi, Kelly. And just want to make sure we know who's here.
Steve's not on
Steve's
yet.
not there yet. We'll look for him. So welcome, everyone. Let's start with additions and deletions to the agenda.
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Fantastic.
Can I just, John, I just want to, on the agenda that was in our packet, after item 13, it's individual consideration items, first reading and set for confirmatory public hearings, June 26th. These are both emergency resos. They've been noted on our agenda as item A and B, but I asked the county attorneys, the deputy county attorney, she said that even though they probably should have been 14, 15 item numbers, we've given proper notice. I just want to make sure that's clear, that the agenda is technically properly noticed.
Yes. Form is always useful to get correct, but substance that's required under the statutes is correct.
Yeah,
so we can move forward.
Great.
Just to let you know.
Thanks for clearing that up. Okay, public comments. We have public comment here. Rachel, come on up.
Which seat do you want, or?
Take your
there is
pick.
good.
Okay, as long as the microphone is on, it's the hot seat. The red is on?
Yep.
Red is
Okay,
on.
Great. My name is Rachel Richards. I first came to Aspen in 1978. I live in Hunter Creek, deed restricted housing in Aspen. I appreciate the time you're giving me today to address an issue of great concern to all county residents, which has been fairly unattended to at this point. I sent a letter in May to the Colorado Department of Transportation's director regarding the entrance to Aspen and the potential replacement of the Castle Creek Bridge in its exact location today with a 3-lane reversible design, which the city was told at their April 15th meeting by their design consultants that they would have to pursue a NEPA process for either a supplemental, an amendment, or a new corridor approval with today's conditions. The city has not liked that alternative, and the majority has said they'd like to get rid of NEPA, and even if they had to self-fund the entrance in some way, maybe devolve the entrance to the control of the city of Aspen. I do not think this is legal, and I want to bring the issue forward to you because I think the National Environmental Policy Act is extremely important. I think that when we look at what that act has done for us in the past, when we were battling the Thompson Divide leases and found out they had cut and pasted things about Arctic seals into their NEPA because it wasn't really accurately done, that was one of the legs we stood on for that very, very long fight. I think that should we ever see the CDOT in the future years, hard to tell what the future brings, decide to improve the safety of Independence Pass, you certainly want to see NEPA applied to any widening or reconstruction or reallocation on that road. I think of all the other BLM and Forest Service lands around us and how important the National Environmental Policy Act is. And yet, your counterparts across the highway are saying it does not matter anymore, that they should be able to get federal money outside of the transportation planning region process, the state plan, and just simply build what they now, master transportation planners, think will be effective for the next 50 years in the future. I'm particularly bringing this forward for a couple of reasons. One is that I went to that NACO table in public lands for many years, and I saw all the developers and the oil and gas interests and many others saying NEPA is wrong. Let's get rid of NEPA. That policy act that requires environmental impact statements is too burdensome, just like the city of Aspen. And I am embarrassed that they have allocated a new $600,000 to try to overcome NEPA and say it doesn't apply to wealthy communities like Aspen. Now, when it comes to the Board of County Commissioners, I think it's important to start testing this because the ambulance district is on the far side of the Castle Creek Bridge, which they're planning on having only one lane of traffic, mixed bus and mixed autos, on all counterflow traffic, AM and PM. And so they're essentially asking CDOT, can we approve an unrestricted 4-lane, but we only want half of it in the morning and the other half in the afternoon. I think the only real design criteria of this was do not use the Merle property. And whatever the current iteration of the Friends of Merle is, are extremely well funded. They're going to be suing. They've hired a local, well-known PR person to, talk about how sacred that ground is. And all I really want is an honest comparison of the effectiveness of the system for the traveling public going 30 or 40 years into the future, as this last bridge has lasted us 60 years. And I look at the millions, if not tens of millions of dollars, that Pitkin County residents contribute to the bus rapid transit system and to RAFTA. And that board is not being invited at all to talk about the efficiencies or lack of efficiencies that this bridge design will cause for them. Now, I've outlined it before. There are a couple main flaws. There's a lot others. But it creates a new traffic light where the old Poppy's restaurant was, to then give the buses a little jump of priority across the 3-lane bridge until they all stop again at the cemetery lane light, because the cemetery lane light will remain in place. And so it's hard for me to see how there's any real travel gains for general traffic or for the buses when you leave that traffic light in place. Patty, you were always so proud of, and appropriately so, the walking trail across the Maroon Creek Bridge. And how many people forget that we used to have an old 2-lane on a railroad trestle. And if we really want to see if a 3-lane bridge would work, why don't we close one lane on the Maroon Creek Bridge and start alternating traffic AM and PM into just one lane with missed buses? I don't know what the people coming into work in the evening, arriving from the airport, coming back on skier shuttles, maybe wanting to eat dinner, evening employees will do when they are all shunted into a single lane of traffic. And I think it's actually quite embarrassing for us to be asking CDOT for a lot more money to improve the Brush Creek intercept lot when there's not a connection into Aspen, the final destination at that end of the route, that doesn't work for mass transit. Buses have traditionally lost an awful lot of their travel time, basically from Brush Creek into Aspen. I realize time is short, and this is a really complicated issue. It has a lot of history. But I really hope that the Board of County Commissioners will stand up to say that NEPA matters to us. We believe in the National Environmental Policy Act. And yes, measuring future emissions, measuring future valley growth and travel demands that will need to use this hundreds of millions of dollars piece of infrastructure will be satisfied, and it's worth their time. So thank you very much for looking into this. I appreciate it greatly, and I appreciate how many other things you have on your plate.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Always very informative.
And Rachel, I'll probably be calling you to just discuss the NACO presentation of their rezos, just to get some input.
Okay, be
Thank
glad
you.
to.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we're going to go to commissioner comment now. If there's any commissioner comment, I'm looking for Patty.
I have one before we get to the bigger item.
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow is the kickoff for the first events for Food and Wine. I sit on the Aspen Chamber Resort Association board representing Pitkin County, and they do an amazing job with this event. And it's one of those, as soon as the event's over, they're planning for the next year. So I want everybody to enjoy the chaos that surrounds it. We'll have a lot of people visiting town. It's always fun to go sit downtown and watch the fashion show evolve. And I want to remind people to wear sensible shoes when they go to the grand tasting, because spiked heels and a rugby field don't necessarily mix well. So everybody enjoy. Bye, Rachel. Everybody enjoy, have fun. Please be safe. Use mass transit. Do not drink and drive. But enjoy your time here while you're in town.
And wear sunscreen.
And wear sunscreen. It's supposed to rain tomorrow or Friday, but Yeah, do. And they will probably be giving free sunscreen out at the event, so please take. We're at higher elevation and more exposed, in many ways, so please enjoy. Then Greg and I have something I think
Yeah.
we'll get to.
I just wanted to say, what really popped out for me was rugby players in high heels.
Spike,
I was thinking
spike
spike.
heels. Not cleats.
I'm thinking, that would be a television sport.
It's a new form of rugby.
Okay, any other comments from the peanut gallery, the digital peanut gallery? I see smiles, but I don't see hands. And I still don't see Steve. I hope he's all right.
So we did get a text from Steve that he is, I think, moving cattle and maybe joining an hour late. You all may be done by that time.
He could be zooming us from horseback if he really wanted to. But okay, I'm going to get my comment is really a couple things, and the first one is rivers are really dangerous right now, and I keep hearing about people drowning unnecessarily in our rivers, and the raft that flipped in the Crystal the other day just terrified me, because we've lost friends in Meat Grinder Rapid, and that people still think that that's something worth tempting. It just breaks my heart, because we lose people in there. Yesterday in Moab, a gentleman was in an inflatable, probably one of those cheap canoes, with his 2 little boys. They flipped the raft. They didn't have their life jacket. They had life jackets, but they didn't have them on, or didn't have them on properly. So one of the boys was legs up, head down in the water. The other one floundering. The father's life jacket was on his lap, so it just vanished. A guy on a paddleboard saw it, paddled out and rescued the 2 boys, luckily, because they couldn't swim. And then he signaled a guy on a jet ski who happened to be coming up the river, and got him to turn around, and he saw the gentleman's hand sticking out of the water in the center of the Colorado River, and he managed to ride over
Oh my
and pull the
gosh.
guy out and saved his life. And because this guy couldn't swim, and he was just going down. And someone caught a picture of it. You'll see the most amazing photo of an arm coming out of a whirlpool, and the guy in the jet ski just about to rescue him.
Goosebumps,
It's just
yeah.
goosebumps. So all I want to say is be safe out there. Two men drowned in the upper Colorado in water you wouldn't think would be dangerous. No life jackets, flip the raft. There's no way you can swim in that water. And the water the currents are incredibly strong. I'm a kayaker and rafter, and I've been humbled by many, many rivers, and it just gives me the chills to think about, being pinned underwater or sucked down like that. So that's my morning. And then the second thing I'm really excited about is our friend Jennifer Hearn. I don't know if we can't really zoom in. We can. Jennifer Hearn was found after a couple days of exposure up on Triangle Peak. And it was such great news for all the people in town who know her, and what a gentle, sweet soul she is. And that she was rescued, I think, partly thanks to her dog, Tawny, who went for help, I guess, or somehow alert
Wandered
people.
down to a neighboring residence,
Yeah.
and so it allowed them to focus their rescue effort
Right.
yesterday.
And I know we had a major rescue effort from the Sheriff's Department, Mountain Rescue. People were coming in from all over to join in this search effort. I think they had a helicopter. I just want to put out community thanks to all of our first responders, the people who engaged and helped. Jennifer's husband, Jim, is an ex-sheriff's deputy and ski patroller. And her kids and her grandkids are friends of our families. And I am just so glad it worked out and turned out as well as it did.
I'll read those lists.
And Patty's going to read the list of the people who helped
I
make all this happen.
contacted our sheriff last night. He was at a training in Arkansas, because I thought he might want to be here. I talked with our undersheriff today. He was running off to another meeting. So the sheriff's department asked me if I would ask Greg to thank people. So this is limited, and I know there's more out there to be thanked, but the Sheriff's Office is extending thanks to Mountain Rescue Aspen, Care Flight of the Rockies, Flight for Life, the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control, Search and Rescue Dogs of the United States, and every member of the public who participated in the successful rescue of Jennifer. And I also know that our Open Space and Trails, I don't know if they were involved in this one. They were involved the other day in the rescue. Oh, that was the one. down in Basalt. But there were so many people that took their time and effort to look for Jennifer, and I've known her for over 40 years, maybe Jerry, because our kids grew up together. So we needed a high point after all of the drownings and incidents we've had. And thank you, Jennifer, for coming home safely.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. Kelly, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that both of your stories ended with positive outcomes. I'm going to pivot a little bit. You know, we're at the start of the summer season, start of the river running season. We're also at the start of one of my favorite seasons, election season, for the next 5 months. And you know, I know it's often a time for people to groan and turn off their televisions and radios. I am the kind of person who sort of leans in and tries to inform myself and get challenged by people in my community, people I know, people in my family to, you know, think about my assumptions, to try and understand where they're coming from. There's some exciting things coming on the ballot this fall. We have a primary ballot out for picking county voters right now, and I want to just encourage people to check your mail. You should have your mail ballot with, you know, if you are affiliated with a party or an unaffiliated voter, go check your mail. Most people will have gotten one, and this is your opportunity to weigh in on some really important races. So those ballots are due June 25th. If you have not received it, please come visit our clerk's office either in person here at 530 East Main Street or online at pickandvotes.com and get your ballot in by Tuesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to comment on that. First of all, we have 5 months, the beginning of election season. I just really envy those countries that have a 6-week election season and they get it over with. But we tend to like to wallow in it and grovel. So here we go. So, but you're right. We should all be engaged. Apathy is our biggest enemy. I can't believe I'm running unopposed again. Just wait to see what I do. Okay, people. This is your warning. On my next comment, very quickly regarding NEPA, Rachel Richards was just in and spoke very articulately about the situation with the Castle Creek Bridge, the NEPA process. I have to say, you know, NEPA is one of those things that it's a labyrinth, and if you're trying to get something done expediently, the thought of NEPA is pretty daunting. I was in a conference last fall with former Governor Bill Ritter about citing clean energy and how NEPA can sometimes tie things up for 20 years. And if you're in a climate emergency, you probably don't want to tie things up for 20 years if you can come up with a resolution sooner. And so some of us started talking about creating an ombudsman who could help get through NEPA. So perhaps there are ways that we can make NEPA work better for us while still protecting us. So yeah, I come down on both sides. We definitely need NEPA, and we definitely need to improve the processes by which we get these approvals. That may be the major holdup to electrification and reducing carbon emissions going forward, as well as getting bridges built. And since she was talking about CDOT, I just want to say I rode my bike to town again, as I always do. Shale Bluffs, the overflow bins next to Shale Bluff are overflowing. There is shale rolling out onto the edges of the highway. Cars are hitting it and throwing it up and hitting, you know, so I'm sure it's doing some minor damage, at least to cars. There's a lot of litter, pieces of vehicles, metal, you know, sharp objects littering the shoulders of the road there. And I wish we had a solution to that. The way they designed Shale Bluffs, there's nowhere for the shale, which naturally sloughs off, to go under the bridge and down onto the scree slope but beneath it, where it has been shedding for millions of years probably. And so we've got a problem. And if they're not going to clean out the cleanouts, it's a failed design and a failed system, and I'm really upset. Second of all, the traffic going into town today, there were people going by me at least 70 miles an hour through Shale Bluffs. And on the bicycle, I'm over on this side. I'm still not too concerned, but just the speed of the traffic amongst the cars was terrifying. And if we're not going to calm traffic or slow speeds down in there, I just think it's getting more and more dangerous every year, and I'm upset. That's all I've got for you for comment. Wow. Did you think of anything, Francie? Are you still? I'll keep moving if you haven't. Okay, I'm going to keep moving.
Francie,
You're muted,
if
Francie.
you're-
Now that you want to talk, you can't. No, it sounded like nothing. She's still talking. You're still muted. There you go. Now we hear you. Anything?
Yeah, I'm down here in Carbondale looking at beautiful Mount Sopris and the clouds piling up, and it's awesome. That's all I have to say.
Excellent, thank you. Brevity is the soul of wit, as you've just demonstrated. Okay, we're going to consent items, single reading. I assume we're going to want to go through them one by one.
Well, I'll do a motion to approve the minutes of the May 22nd.
Oh, mic on.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of May 22nd regular meeting.
I will second, and I'll just comment that the sound from the room is so much better today. I think we've resolved our issues.
Okay, well done, Andorra and Michaela.
But we can't hear Kelly.
So we
very
have, yeah, you're a little quiet, Kelly. I don't know if you can get closer to your mic. So Patty
second.
firsted and Kelly seconded. All in favor?
well. Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Aye.
Next up is a resolution to appoint citizen board members. And unless Charlotte's online, I'm throwing this to John or somebody else.
I will just make a comment.
You may.
This is for appointment of Jennifer Mason for regular position, the Citizens Grant Review Committee. And it's to appoint Jack Cohen to the Financial Advisory Board. So we want to thank them both for their interest in serving our community. And we look forward to meeting with them when they need to come before the BoCC.
And
I
Patty
would-
covered everything I would say. So.
And I will do a motion to approve. I
We have
can
a
do
motion
that.
from Patty,
I'll second.
a second from Francie. And the board has reviewed and interviewed these people, sometimes more than once. And we think they're great people. I really want to thank them for stepping up. They are part of the glue, the large number of people in our community that hold us together and keep our community strong and give us a sense of community. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Up next, we have a resolution appointing independent referees, hearing officers, to sit on behalf of the Board of Equalization to hear taxpayer appeals of the Pitkin County Assessor's valuations, and developing a list of persons qualified to act as arbitrators of property valuation disputes. And is Sam online? Are we just flying? If they're not,
Yeah,
there she is.
yeah.
Sam, we're joining you.
Okay,
We're going to put her in as a participant?
yeah. We'll see. We're gonna allow her to talk. Uh-oh.
Hi, Sam. Please accept the. Okay, she's rejoining.
There we go. Okay. So Sam Engen is gonna join us.
But she didn't have.
There
Oh,
she
there
is.
she
Hey.
is. Hi, Sam.
I'm here if you guys have any questions, but we're ramping up for CBOE, the County Board of Equalization process, with hearings beginning on July 8th, which is a Monday after the 4th. So we just want to go ahead and get hearing officers appointed as well as arbitrators lined up for that process. And all of these hearing officers and arbitrators have worked for the county in years past.
Great, thank you. Our hearing officers, the list of our hearing officers that have worked for us before and are coming back are Kim Tarver, Mick Ireland, and Liz Newman. And then our arbitrators are William Van der Hoven and Jeb Marsh. Any other things we need to discuss regarding appointing them? If
I have a
not,
couple questions, if that's
yeah,
okay.
great, please.
Okay, thanks. Just, if you could just clarify for me again the role of the arbitrator, and then if you know what the certification of MAI means, that's on both of their resumes, and I just don't know what it is. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So the arbitrator is one of the options to appeal after the County Board of Equalization. So they can either go to the state, the BAA, to arbitration, which is binding, and there's a $150 fee associated with that, or they can go to district court. I am not sure what MIA is without looking at it.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions, comments? I think not.
I'll make a motion to approve, and thank you, Sam, for bringing this forward to us in time for us to get rolling on the 8th.
I will second.
Kelly seconding, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think Francie left the room, so it's a 3-0 on that one. Is that okay? Is that how we do it?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, coming up next, resolution on assessor's recommendations of an abatement petition over $10,000 submitted by SM Lumen 03 LLC, R022456. And Sam, you're still on deck.
And I believe Nanita and Wendy were going to attend remotely, if you want to see, just in case you have any questions. But the assessor is recommending this approval by the BoCC. It's just over $10,000, so we do have to bring it to you guys for ratification.
Got it, great. And are we letting Wendy in? Do we need to discuss this?
I'm good with it, looking at the basis of the recommendation, looking at the appraiser used. I'm comfortable with moving it forward.
Thanks, Patty. I just want to check if Wendy's there, since we invited her in. Hi, Wendy. There you are. Hi. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to say anything if you wanted to about this. I think we understand what's going on, but
this one's pretty straightforward. There was a stipulated value, so it's pretty straightforward that both parties understand the new value.
great, thank you. Kelly, question?
Sorry, just because the value was reduced by about a quarter, I'm wondering if I didn't see any description as to why that.
Yeah, and Anita's going to have to speak about that. She found some comparable properties that she determined that a reduction was necessary for this one.
And isn't Nanita there? There.
Hi, my name
Hello.
is Nanita. I'm the appraiser for the condos in Snowmass Village. So I recommended a value of 9.6 million. We found two comparables. It's within the area. It's at the Snowmass Village. They're like 1 block away. And then I also used the time trend, which is 4.1% for 18 months, and that's how it came up to 9.6 with my math. And then for our comparable sales with the time trend, one of the comp sales is 8.9, so it's 8,988,000, and the other one is 10,285,000, and we just took the mean and average of that one, which is 9.6.
Got it. Great. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd be ready for a motion.
So moved to approve.
Move to approve of Patty. Kelly, is that you? I think.
Trying to second.
Okay, that was your second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The next one is a resolution regarding an abatement petition for the Watt Family Colorado Property Trust. It says RO 12582. Upon recommendations of the hearing officer again. Anything to say about that since we've got you?
I did have a question.
Okay, Patty.
I'm not sure who to ask it to, but, so it would be my understanding that this property is technically a vacant property adjacent to a residential property, and the property owner was trying to say that because there was a use on the vacant property, it should be tax classified as residential, is that correct?
Correct.
And it was determined that just having a gazebo on the property didn't entitle it to that different tax classification.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, look
I'll
for,
move to approve
there's a
the abatement determination.
motion
I'll
by
second.
Kelly, Francie seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Up next, we have individual consideration items, public hearing, single reading. This is an application for a special event liquor permit submitted by the Buddy Program.
This is
And
like
Sam, you're
Sam's
still
day
here.
before us.
Sam, you
Yeah.
are the star today.
Sorry, filled your agenda today a little bit. The Buddy program has applied for a special event liquor permit for an event going to be held on July 6th at Marigo Ranch. This is an event that they've held for the past several years and have applied for a liquor permit as well as a special event permit through community development. And there's been no reported history of issues with this event. I know Molly O'Leary, I believe she's there to speak about it a little bit.
Do you want to
So
come up and
you
say
can
a word or two? Thanks, Sam.
tell you a little bit more about the event.
I was going to say, this is kind of like Groundhog Day. Every year you come back to us and ask for the permit, and there's not a problem. Everything's gone well. And
We just like to
send you
pop up,
Yeah.
you know.
We like seeing you.
I can look across the valley and I see it when the parties go on. I was like, yeah, it looks like they're having fun.
It's a hard to miss tent.
Sure. Hey, welcome. And tell me your name again.
I'm Molly O'Leary. I'm the events manager at the Buddy program, and this is our 25th
Wow.
year doing the Bash for the Buddies. So, yeah, pretty classic event for the Valley. It's scheduled for Saturday, July 6th. It's hosted again by Gail and Lenny Wineglass at their Marigo Ranch. The event's outside. It's tented. It's 6 to 10 p.m. We're expecting about 350 guests. Our catering is through Ski Co Catering, and our bartenders are through them too. So they're all pros and tips trained, and they know how to cut people off. And it's always been a very safe, fun event.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, is U2 playing it again this year?
We wish. No, we have a great live band called Tunisia coming from Denver. So
Cool.
it'll be country themed. So we'll have some classic, some modern country. It'll be fun.
They played at my wedding and they were amazing.
Ah.
They're such a spectacular group. We're so pleased to have them back. So it should be a
Excellent.
fun little party.
That'll be great. Well, thank you for coming in and explaining it. I've never heard a single peep about anything but positive about it.
Great.
Even the elk like it over there.
Even the elk like it.
Yeah, we're quiet early. We don't bug them. They're happy.
They're actually your immediate neighbors, aren't they? Yeah.
So how do people get tickets?
Yep, you can go to buddyprogram.com and .org, excuse
.org,
me.
buddyprogram.org.
And we sell tickets to the public through that. And then we also have our race on the 4th of July that people can register for too. So we'll be down at Rio Grande Park this year.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
And how many years has Boogie been doing that?
25.
Oh,
But
well,
the-
the event's been going for 25, and gosh, he's been hosting for a lot of them. I don't have an exact count of
Oh,
how
the
many
Boogie
years.
5K or 5, is that what it is? That
He does that. That's been going,
That's been
God.
going
Yeah, the
forever,
Boogie's race is 38 years old this
my
year,
gosh,
so
that's amazing.
long standing. We turned 50 last year, and we're 51 this year. So.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I think Boogie qualifies for local status.
I think so. Hall of Fame. He's not
Yeah,
already.
definitely.
But what's going to happen if it sells?
I know. We've been talking to him about it. He'll put in a good word with the new owners for us, hopefully, if it does.
He
So.
can put that as a covenant in his
Yeah,
sales
Yeah,
gotta
we'll cross
use it.
our fingers.
The other thing is that we can always talk him out of selling it because it's been happening for years. He's
Yeah.
been talked out of it, so we'll work on that.
Well, it's a beautiful property, and
It
we're
is
still thrilled to
gorgeous.
be back there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
great.
thanks. Good to
please
see you.
Thank Boogie for us, and we recognize what all he's done for the community also. I'm looking for a motion
Nancy
to...
has her hand up.
Oh,
She's waving at
Francie,
us.
sorry. I didn't see your...
I was just gonna make a
digital.
motion to
Oh.
approve the application for a special event liquor license, submitted by the Buddy program.
I will second, but note that this is a public hearing.
It is a public hearing. Thank you. Laura's over here grinning at me, just waiting for me. She's just waiting for me to mess this up, but you stepped in and saved me. This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak on this topic in the room or online. I see a gentleman back there, here for a different topic. Unless you want to talk about the Buddy program.
It's been a delight. I've done my 5.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Anybody online? I don't see, it looks like our crew here mostly. I don't see hands up, so I'm going to call the question. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Good to see
Have
you.
a great party.
Yeah. Thank
Cool
you.
jacket, sweater thing.
A little hot for today.
Yeah. It's cold in here.
warmer.
Okay,
Turn it
individual consideration items. First reading set for public hearings on June 26th. Up next, and we've got a long list here. We're going to crank through these. This is a resolution authorizing tastings on the licensed premises of retail liquor stores, liquor licenses, drugstores, and fermented malt beverage and wine retailers. in this. Okay, and Sam, nice to see you back.
Sam?
Last one, I promise. So recently I've had a lot of inquiries from some of the liquor stores within Pickens County asking about tastings and what the regulations are around them. So I did some further research, and state statute does allow tastings, but the Board of County Commissioners do need to authorize them through an ordinance or resolution. So that's what I'm bringing forward to you all today. There are restrictions already set by the state, but there are 3 items that you guys can set stricter limitations on if you so choose. The one is the number of tastings per year, the number of days on which tastings can occur, and the number of hours each tasting may last. So I wanted to bring this forward upon those requests from other liquor license retailers within the county and see if you guys had any questions related to it.
Got it. Yes, we have questions. Patty?
So I'm assuming that the licensed liquor licensed drugstore would be Carl's Pharmacy. It's the only drugstore that
That's
sells.
not within Pickens County though, that's the city.
Oh, that's in the
Aspen.
city. So what are we talking about for us? Because it wouldn't be the grocery
So
store.
Yeah, we just have liquor stores. It'd be Snowmass Liquor, Roxy Spirits, which was just in front of you all
Right.
about a month ago. Their Redstone General Store. There is another liquor license coming to you guys at the end of the month that's going to be in Redstone, and they're requesting this as well.
Okay. Because you're right. My questions were more around, would it be allowed at Clark's Market, but that's City of Aspen too. So ours is really limited, and ours actually, by being limited, makes good sense. So thank you, Sam.
Other questions? I have a couple. Francie?
Yeah, is this they don't have to apply every time they're gonna do one, right? It's just like a generic thing that we give our approval, and then they can have their, whatever it is, 156 or whatever a year?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it, Francie?
That's it.
I would just like to ask, okay, so somebody's doing tastings. What does a tasting mean? I think of it means like a thimble full of whatever it is. Is it going to be a 12 or 16 ounce glass? And how many do you get?
No, there are certain restrictions of what's defined by the state of what a tasting is. So yeah, it's sampling,
Got it. Okay.
essentially, without going into the full definition.
Current restriction is 156 days per year per the state statute, as is. It doesn't have specific days on the state statute, but it does say number of hours between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. So that's a pretty long period of time for 56 days a year. Are the servers going to be trained in the way that tips training goes for bartenders? Do we have any qualifications for a server, or should there be?
Yes, it does go into that within, so I attached Title 44, Article 3, that's
Got
subsection
it.
10, that does
Thank
go
you.
into detail there about what the requirements on who's allowed to serve.
Okay, great. Those were my questions.
It also says that it gives you the amounts: 1 ounce of malt or wine, and 1/2 ounce if it's a regular hard liquor. So
So you could stop by pretty much every other day for
You could
a
walk-
nip on your way.
Yeah.
Tasting.
Yeah, the tasting.
Does the city of Aspen? Can I ask?
Yeah,
Does the
please.
city of Aspen allow this? Do you know?
I'm not aware, but I can find out before second reading.
That would be great, just to see, because they actually have a greater impact with consolidation of being able to not bar hop, but liquor store hop, I guess you would call it.
Luckily, the ones in the county are so far apart.
Yeah. Hopefully you're not
You'd
driving
sober up
from
by
one to
time
the
you
other.
got to the next one.
That's a lot of effort to go to for 1/2 of a shot of liquor.
That's all
I
it takes
really
from
think
me.
It's gonna be a problem, if people are gonna be going from tasting to tasting, getting drunk. I just don't see that.
I
as a-
don't know, if
You
you look
don't
at the
know me.
price of a glass of wine up in Aspen, it's probably worth your time and
It's not a glass
energy.
of wine, it's like a taste.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't seem like there's any pushback here. This is a public hearing.
No,
It's
it's
a
not.
first read with a public hearing.
Oh, the public hearing's on January 6th. Dang. I just underlined public hearing and I didn't look at first reading.
I will make a motion to approve this resolution before
Well, I
us.
kind of wanted to have a public hearing.
You'll
We've
get
got
it.
a motion, we have a second. Patty and Francie, I think, or is that who it was? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Okay, next, resolution approving a grant agreement with the West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition to fund the Good Deeds Program. Come on down. Ashley, great to see you. How exciting this is.
Great to be seen. Good afternoon. I'm Ashley Pearl. I'm the Resiliency and Housing Director for Picken County. And I'm here on a first read, scheduled for a second read in 2 weeks, of a resolution that, if the board approves it, would authorize the chair to sign a grant agreement with the West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition, which is the new regional coalition that Picken County was part of setting up. And it's specifically it's not just for the whole coalition, it's just to fund their Good Deeds program, which you heard about, the board heard about 2 weeks ago from April Long, their director. And the total, a little bit of background. The bulk of the funding would come from ARPA money, the American Rescue Plan Act, that Picken County has been doling out to support housing and childcare in the community. We have typically been using these grant agreements as the way to formalize any sort of relationship or funding that we give out through that. So you've seen grant agreements for response and other donations that we've given out, or grants that we've given out through this. So, and I do apologize, the grant agreement itself is not attached in your packet. I was remiss in that. So
Next reading.
At second read, it will be. So the grant agreement is a page and a half. The main purpose there is to create a paper trail for our federal reporting requirements, as well as hold West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition to certain uses of the funds, so they can't just use them willy-nilly, and they have to tell us how they're using them quarterly through our reporting requirements. So the grant agreement says that we, if approved, will contribute $1 million, which $719,285 of that would be from our ARPA money, that is the LATCF sub part of ARPA money, which is the more flexible one. It stands for Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Funds. I'm sorry. And then $280,715 would come from Picken County's general fund housing budget. All of this has been approved and is in the 2024 budget, so we don't need further action aside from the resolution for the board.
Right.
So
Thank you.
it's the paperwork, but the big picture is that West Mountain would then take these dollars and they would give them to home buyers in exchange for deed restrictions on homes that are currently free market homes, and we would lock in deed restricted homes in perpetuity in our community for a way lower rate than building new deed restricted homes. And it would serve workforce only up and down the valley, and Picken County would really be leading the way by supporting the coalition to this amount. And it's a pilot program, so you would hear quite a bit more about it once we transfer the funds.
Patty.
And I just wanted, for the public, because I already told you, that after we had our work session and the newspaper article came out, I don't know if any other members of the board heard from members of the community. I did. People wanting to get put on a list because they were interested. It was huge. It was exciting. They were excited. This gives me a way to do what I've not been able to do. How do I get on a list? How do I get in line? So I referred them to Ashley to keep track of and send them on to April. So we do have a paper trail there too of people who are interested in signing up for this, what we're calling neutral development of affordable housing.
Thank you. I wanted to say that I've been hearing from people also. Nobody called and asked to sign up, but I had one constituent who's very in favor of affordable housing, just said, wait a minute, are we putting money into housing that's going to benefit somebody in, as we talked about, in the far corners of Garfield County, for instance, just as an example. And I tried to repeat everything April said, assuring us that that's probably not a problem and we're still getting the better part of the deal. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but I appreciated what she had said and thought maybe a repeat from you might be useful.
Yes, I'm not going to be able to say it as well as April was, but I do know she's watching. So if you do have specific questions, she can answer. But I think based on what Patty's talking about with the amount of interest we've heard, you heard from 2 or 3 people. April's heard from over 20. And the snapshots of who those folks are all Highway 82 based. We heard from a number of nurses at both Valley View and techs at Aspen Valley Hospital, We have a number of folks working in schools and other service industries, some human service workers. So people that we can easily put faces to names of people we are out in the community every day seeing. And if they aren't directly Picken County and working within Picken County, there's a direct link to serving those who work in Picken County. So for example, here we are. I work in Picken County. I also shop down Valley, and I also need complex medical procedures that AVH can't do at Valley View. And my kids go to a camp down Valley for special needs. There's a whole lot of services that we require as Picken County workforce that aren't available specifically here, but are served by the lovely folks that live just over those jurisdictional lines that of course, none of our large problems, whether it be climate change or housing or air quality or water quality, they don't respect these arbitrary jurisdictional lines that we've put out. And I think this is an incredible space for Picken County to be recognizing that this is a regional problem and testing out regional solutions.
Thank you. That was actually very well put. Any other comments, Kelly, Francie, anything you want to add? I don't see. Kelly's just smiling and shaking her head.
I'm in a good mood today. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm curious when the first applications will be received, if you know that.
April's not taking applications until she has the money, because we don't want to promise anyone. So as soon as we can get this turned around, and some of the other communities I know have already cut checks, so once we have enough they're going to come in very fast. So we want to be prepared to get that money out the door pretty quickly. So our goal right now, I believe, is mid-July to be opening up applications and moving through.
Well, I'm not above a big, a ridiculous size check, photo op to the first family, whatever. So keep that in mind. Thanks.
Thank you. Patty?
Real quick, and I did tell Ashley this already, but at our joint meeting yesterday with Basalt, which I thank Basalt Town Council for hosting us, we did mention the Good Deeds program and asked them to give serious consideration in their upcoming budget talks to helping to fund some monies, direct some monies towards this program. So we even volunteered to come down and coach them while they were talking about it. But so we'll see what happens, because I think they'll find too that it services the people in Basalt. So
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion to approve this, set for a public hearing on June 26th.
I'll make a motion to approve a grant agreement with West Mountain Regional Housing Coalition to fund the Good Deeds program.
I'll second.
2 seconds from the peanut gallery. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to keep moving here. Thanks for coming, Ashley. This is a resolution approving second quarter budget supplemental requests. And
Wait a minute, where's
Riggers is
Connie?
here.
I know. I'm so sorry Connie's not here, and
You'll
I'll do
do.
everything I can to fill her very big shoes. But she's at the Governmental Finance Officers Association conference.
That sounds like
That's a
fun.
bash.
No,
I've
I
always
actually
wanted
spoke
go
to her
that.
yesterday. She was coaching me on this, and she said it was a very, very good, and she'd been attending some really good sessions about airport financing and all other kinds of things. So
We could use a little of that
Yeah.
coaching.
So, and Liz is also at the same conference, which is why she's. That's why I got
So you get to
me
do it.
instead. But we're. This is the first reading of the second quarterly budget supplementals. We had a work session last week where Connie went into some detail, accompanied with the requesting departments about each of these items. So as she has written here, you should be familiar with them. So the total budgetary impact is increase in expenditures by $1,042,664, and that's offset by an increase in budgeted revenues of $353,942. So the recommendation at this point from Finance is to set for second reading and public hearing on June 26th.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to run down the quick list here, and all it is so people know what where the money is going in which direction.
Would you like me to do that?
You could certainly do that. I'd say I was going to do very succinctly, but, ballistic shields for the sheriff, for instance, and, this is important stuff, and we've been talking about it for a while. It's time to approve these. Go ahead. You could.
Yeah, so in addition to the ballistic plates for the sheriff's office, dispatch is requesting some upgrades in their technology. The wildfire camera detection system is another one. The translator fund is able to capitalize on a DOLA grant regarding some fiber implementation. And Healthy Rivers and Streams, likewise with a grant. And Redstone Ranch Acres, doing some repair and maintenance, which is required for their roads to keep them in shape. Human Services Fund has received approval from the state to add an additional caseworker. And then the final one is the Ambulance and Debt Service Funds. The debt service had an interest rate change, and so that's just a reflection of that transaction.
And I see an airport security software on here as well. That's still in.
Did I miss that one?
You might have skipped it, or no worries. It's so that's
right at the top. Yes.
That's what the supplementals were for. I'm looking for a reso.
Are you looking for a motion?
A motion for a reso.
I'll make a motion to approve first reading the supplemental budget appropriations for 2004.
I'll second.
Francie, second. Kelly, question, further discussion?
No, it's okay. I'll lower my hand. I can go back and watch the discussion about the new caseworker.
Green module.
Okay.
No Wi-Fi needed.
From the session. Before second reading. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This was up for second reading on June 26th, where it will be a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, Ann.
Connie will be back for the second hearing, so you can ask the difficult
conference will
questions.
be over by then.
We'll come up with some good questions for her. Okay, item number 10, this is a resolution amending BoCC resolution number 013-2023, extending the terms and amendments of project scopes of the collection agreement with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, U.S. Forest Service, that assigns responsibility to the Forest Service. And Lisa Tasker is here, and I think this has something to do with, does this have something to do with beavers?
I hope so.
We hope so.
We love those guys.
Yes, absolutely, it does. And if you guys will recall, we were here a couple weeks ago at a work session and talked about the fact that we need to amend the resolution for this one-year term to reflect the actual collection agreement that is goes until 2027, and it will still be coming to you each year, describing exactly what the Forest Service has planned every year. If they do have plans in the future, they still do this year. As far as beavers are concerned, doing work up in the Thompson Creek area, and actually investigating projects up in the 4 Mile Creek area as well, 4 Mile Park. So this is an amendment to the resolution to just reflect what is written in the actual collection agreement, and I think that pretty much covers it. Also, this also is covering the extra $10,000 on top of the $50,000 that we have as a line item for this year for the beaver projects with the Forest Service. This is the extra $10,000 that's going toward their efforts to do more sampling and water quality analysis related to the latest incidences up in Lincoln Creek, and which is obviously a tributary to the Roaring Fork. And they will also probably be doing a little bit of work down on after the confluence as well on the fork. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. I had a question for you, which was the QQ meeting retreat is tomorrow. Are you by any chance going to that?
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to be virtual, but yes.
Right, okay. We have a message to send to the presenter who has this long list of topics, and they don't include I don't think they include our beaver reintroduction or the Thompson Creek or Lincoln Creek. The thing that sticks up most for me is that that's not on his radar, or at least he didn't put it on his list of, projects he's contemplating. And I think it would be great to present to him. And Laura and I talked about perhaps crafting a note to him that we can deliver and you can talk about when the opportunity comes with the gentleman who's presenting. And I don't have his name in front of me.
Okay.
But he's the state guy who's, keeping tabs on all this stuff. So we need to be on his radar.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's we're tasking you, Tasker.
I'm going to task her with a question. So we are extending the beaver support, which I think is so cool. And the swag is awesome. It's really fun. And so are the beavers, by the way. They're great.
And Lisa McDonald got some pictures of beavers this
really?
weekend, actually. So we're excited because we have our own beaver pictures now a little bit.
Well,
So
she usually just sends me the ospreys and the herons. So
okay, next.
I'm going to have to expand my horizons. So I just want to clarify the nexus between including the funding for Lincoln Creek into an agreement we had with the beaver effort.
The nexus is that federal agreements are extremely difficult to process through, and it is likely that the Lincoln Creek work might otherwise not be able to be undertaken, but existing documents allow for modification.
So for me, the nexus would be the water flows downhill from Lincoln Creek and Grizzly, so we need to make sure we have good water quality and quantity there to protect the beavers and the habitats below. How's that for your nexus? Perfect.
I think that's
okay.
great.
Thank you, Patty. Thanks for your interest in that, too. It's near and dear to me as well.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anything more, or do we want to get a motion, or?
I will definitely do a motion to approve extending the terms and amendments of the project scope and collection agreement with the U.S. Forest Service, Department of Agriculture.
And we have a second from Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Wonderful.
for coming down. Okay, item number 11 is resolution amending the Carbondale to Crested Butte Trail Plan. Gary Tenenbaum is here, Dale Will's here, John Starr
You can
is
get
here.
both of us. You want John too?
Anybody else coming up for this one?
And Gideon's here.
Gideon's here. Gideon, come on down. Okay, Gary, go ahead.
I will, and I'm going to pull it up. Just give you a couple maps to show. Let me share this on Zoom. Come on, Zoom. Why can't you share? You can do this.
Calling in our IT
I was like, it's not
Yogini.
letting me share.
I think you just need to move that and then
Okay.
present.
Perfect. Thank you, Michaela.
Well done.
Excellent.
We're going to
Okay.
get mostly sunny skies at 8 p.m. tonight.
For
So I'm looking at the weather because I'm watching this weather come in, and I'm like,
yeah.
what's it doing out there?
Okay.
Kind of did that yesterday, and we didn't get anything.
I know.
No. So
So here we are, an update.
it is, well, this is more than
change.
an update.
Amend.
This is, I'm Gary Tenenbaum. I'm the director of Pickens County Open Space and Trails. And here I'm with, Dale's also here, but this is a resolution to amend the Carbondale to Crested Butte Trail Plan. And why are we bringing this to you today is because we have been working through the NEPA process on the first section of the Carbondale to Crested Butte Trail Plan. Is the only section that the BoCC approved back in 2018. We've been working through NEPA since 2019. And through the NEPA process, as it went through, just to give you an update, we went through a full NEPA process, old style NEPA with draft public process, draft plan review, and then final plan review. And in the end, what it came down to was when the Forest Service made their determination is that there were some objectors to the process. And the objectors to the process basically came up and were like, we haven't really, they felt we didn't that the Forest Service didn't look at the cumulative impacts of this project because we have this bigger plan and we didn't look at that. Though you guys made it clear in the plan that you are only looking at this first section. You might never look at the other ones. And they're completely different types of trails, where Redstone to top McClure is a single track trail. There will be some along the highway to get to the single track, but then it goes up to McClure Pass on the old McClure Pass Road. And then, basically then enters Gunnison County, and Gunnison County has its own process with the Forest Service on that side. So, to try to resolve all of this and not get into a big legal battle, we have worked really hard with the objectors and the Forest Service to see if we can come up with some type of resolution. And I feel like, on both sides, we've really worked to come up with something that would work to amend the plan to kind of appease some of their concerns, and things that the staff felt very comfortable with adding to this plan, because I think in the end, it's a 2018 plan. There's a few things in here that we could easily amend and make it a better plan, because we always said it's going to be an amended plan and could be amended over time. So one of the big things that we amended, and this is at the beginning of the document of the plan, and that you can see it in red, you have it in your packet. So it's basically stating that your resolution to amend this plan includes this commitment. And the commitment is, I could read it if you really want me to, the whole thing, but to give you a summary of what this commitment does is it's basically states right from the get-go that we're not going to segment this process. If we choose to do a section in the future, if you do, from anywhere from Redstone to where the trail ends at the KOA currently today, that we will not segment it. We will look at the entire trail. We will analyze environmental review of the entire trail. And with that, there's some pieces of this proposed resolution in there, but it basically says that we're going to look at all the cumulative impacts of the trail. Even if we propose just say Redstone to Penny Hot Springs, we're going to look at all of it and make determinations on all of it. So that's a huge piece, and we put it into the front of the plan just to be completely transparent about it. It's language that we worked with the objectors on, and we feel very comfortable with doing this. We totally agree that this is a great addition to the plan. And so for this piece, that's the language. I don't want to go into too much wordsmithing because it took a long time to get here. We've been working with the objectors for a few months now on this language. So, but if there are changes and you guys feel necessary, we can work on that. The second piece is removing a section of consideration. And this is in the Avalanche Creek area. And so when we did the initial plan, we didn't choose an alignment here, but there were two potential alignments. And so Avalanche has two. It has an Avalanche A along Highway 133, and you can see it. You can probably see, yeah, there you go. You see my cursor. This Avalanche section is here to here. So this section B was one that the people that were objecting had some major consternations about. And, it's the one piece of this trail that does go outside of the highway corridor for a significant degree. And it's also one that we flagged in the initial plan that, it's going to take more research before we would even come up with an alignment to choose. And, we've been working over time on more studies. We help contribute to the Watershed Biodiversity Initiative, and that is kind of the mapping that you see up here. We put that mapping behind it, and this is the one section that has the highest conservation value land. And so our biodiversity policy that the Open Space and Trails program goes by basically would prohibit us from using this section. So in talking with the objectors, and this is a big deal because we don't usually change plans unless we do a large public process. But in this case, staff feels really comfortable with removing B because we would not propose it. Our biodiversity policy states pretty clearly that something with the highest of conservation values, we need to prioritize wildlife. And in this section, this has it. So we have proposed in the plan, and here's the Avalanche Trail section. So we have made revisions to the plan that completely remove this. There's no more B. And so these are the amendments that are in the plan today. Staff is fully on board with this. The Open Space and Trails Board voted unanimously to move this forward with you, and they also made some comments that, in the end, we work together with people and we try to come to resolution and trying not to, there's a lot of good in the Redstone to McClure that we feel is going to be good for the public overall and for the wildlife. And so tying that up for future lawsuits and everything else is not beneficial to anybody, and especially not to the wildlife. And so we're here today. If you want, we're recommending that you approve this on first reading and set the public hearing for June 26th. And if you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great. That was really thorough. Questions? I appreciated, as we were all there with Open Space Board as they discussed it, I do recall the compliments the board staff received from the board and, to everyone in the room that we would really examine this and look at it and amend it as necessary. And I think one of the former critics, Michael Kinsley, was very effusive in his compliments on that and his gratitude. And so I just wanted to say that I think it's gone really well. Kelly has a hand up.
Thanks for summarizing that meeting, Greg, since I was on vacation and didn't get to hear that. So I'm
Really
glad
hard
to
to
have that
hear her.
feedback.
Hey, your mic isn't really working too well. We can hear you, but barely. Try again.
I don't know. I'm leaning forward. I don't think it's gonna help.
Is it? Yeah. Is it? It's the one on your headset. Yeah. Okay. Try again.
Sorry, I'll mess with it. I'll just say very briefly, I think that this is much improved. I've had my reservations, and so I'm grateful this came forward. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. And we heard you better that time, so you're good. Francie?
Yes, I wanted to say the same thing. I was not an initial proponent of this trail. I didn't vote for it when it came forward however many years ago. And part of the reason was the section that is now removed and just the entire possibility of negative impacts throughout the Crystal River Valley. So I'm pretty thrilled with these changes and happy to support it.
Great. Thank you. And I see Steve has his hand up, and then I'll go to Patty. Welcome, Steve.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, we got the cows all in the pasture, and that's all done. Sorry I couldn't be here for the first hour, but I like to view the so-called Crested Butte to Carbondale trail as Crested Butte to Redstone. And to me, the part from Redstone to Carbondale is really a separate entity because the people can ride on, there are options, they can ride on the highway. I really like the changes we made here. I always felt like parts on the east side of the Crystal River should be, some of them should just be little dead-end trails for people to go and enjoy a picnic or something and not have an overwhelming bunch of bicycles or something coming along. And so the part there by Avalanche Campground that was changed, that's a wonderful hike if you ever hike in there. It just is a really beautiful place, and I would like to just keep it that way, and what we're doing here today does that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Patty?
Yeah, I have a little bit different perspective. I appreciate and support this elimination of this section, but I also have a real commitment to public safety. I mean, I believe we need to protect our wildlife, our watersheds, our habitats, etc. But we also need to protect our general public. And I hate thinking of more people riding their bikes on 133, even with some separated bike trails. It works well down lower, down towards Carbondale, because that's used a lot from Carbondale up to the KOA. That's a lot of people that use that. But I would prefer that there was an alternative off the highway for most of this trail, especially through this section, but there appears really not to be a good alternative. So therefore, I will be supporting the elimination of this, and to let the public know that on the 26th, if there's public who really have concerns one way or the other, that it's their opportunity to come before the board.
Great, thanks, Patty. I always think about this, that, you know, you see bike paths on busy roads all over the place. I've ridden them in Europe on narrow roads where you have trucks and cars, and somehow the cyclists have a designated area where they're kept safe. And I'm hoping we can evolve our systems to get to that point. I'm not sure we're there yet, but there's a lot of great groundwork has been done on safe cycling on roads in Europe in particular, and so maybe we can learn a bit about that as we progress with this. But I certainly support this, and I'm ready to ask for a motion on it. Anybody want to make one? Hello? I'll make the motion. I'm going to make a motion that we amend the Carbondale Crested Butte Trail Plan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Patty, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See, we've been here a whole hour. We're getting tired.
I know, I was going to give Steve a chance to.
Oh, sorry. I beat you to it, Steve. Thanks for getting the cows
Well, I
in.
didn't have my paper to read the right thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gary, up next, we have an ordinance adopting
Let's get in.
the 2024 Other Power-Driven Mobility Device Management Plan. And even though you've told us what this means before, I need you to describe it again.
I will. Yes, no, this is first reading on adopting the 2024 Other Power-Driven Mobility Device Management Plan. And what this is in 2011, the Open Space and Trails Department with you guys adopted the original plan for this. And what this does is it addresses, you know, what other devices are allowed to be used for handicap access on trails and areas throughout Pickens County and Pickens County Open Space and Trails. And so we comprehensively looked at all the trails in 2011 and outlined which ones work, which ones don't, what type of device can be or can't be used. And so what we were able to do then is to set up the system to clearly tell people where you can and cannot go with another powered device. You know, a lot of things have changed since 2011, and in that original management plan, we did it by individual trail. And we said that a lot of the other trails would be over time looked at through management plans. We didn't always do that. And so, with the help of our attorney, Ryan Neely, we have gone to this process to clarify it. So there's not going to be, this new plan does not change anything what we're currently doing. What it basically does is it does it by trail type instead of by trail area. Instead of saying specifically, you can do it in dip, now it says, if you are on a paved trail, this is what's allowed. If you're on a single track trail, this is what's allowed. And there's 3 different levels. It's open, restricted, or closed. And, you know, open means that any OPDMD may be used, and we have a whole list of those in the plan. You know, restricted means, you know, that OPDMD must meet certain design standards to be less than 32 inches wide, have a design speed of 20 miles per hour or less, and be electrically powered, weigh 60 pounds or less, and have brakes. That's a big thing, because it definitely limits some of the other devices that do not have brakes. And then the third is it's closed due to safety, and that is really the legal precedent that there are certain trails that are not necessarily safe for other powered devices. And so this is not changing anything. This is clarifying it. This is bringing it all up to date. This is making it clear, because we get a decent amount of requests from folks, and this clearly will show that. And so today it's first reading and setting the second reading for June 26th. And so the only other thing I added from this was trying to, for you listened to the Open Space Board's presentation of this, and the Open Space Board approved this, recommended this to you guys for approval, and so we added some mileage for you guys in a table. I think Greg asked for that, so we did that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or clarification.
Patty, question?
Well, you know, as you know, we've been receiving letters for years now about using electric bikes on the majority of, if not all of, or part of our Pickett County Open Space and Trails program, trails. So I'm hoping that we are planning at some point to have a broader discussion outside of this, which I think we need this clarification, but to listen to the public and bring back the discussion again about the use of electric bikes on open space trails. I think we've talked about it enough, but I just want to let the public know this is not necessarily the end of the conversation.
Right, and I think that the part you just spoke about, at least in the last meeting more thoroughly, was the how do we sync it up with all the other agencies that have an interest? And a trail could cross several different federal and local and even state agencies and private property for that matter. And the restrictions on each section of that trail could be different. And you were talking about the need for a consolidation of rules. Do you want to say anything else about that?
Sure, I can clarify that, because that is the biggest trick to all of that, is really the fact that, if you go Smuggler, Sky Mountain Park, and the Crown, and all these places, you go through different jurisdictions. You go through the BLM, you go through open space, sometimes you go to the Forest Service, you go to the city of Aspen, and then you go to town of Snowmass Village, and so we all need to sync up. I can see it's going to be, I think we're going to do it more in an area by area piece than try to do an overall piece, because it's just too many different federal land managers and local land managers, where if, I know the BLM, I know Francie was perked up last time when I said this, but the BLM is going to be looking at this on the Crown to open up e-bikes. And so, but that poses the question to Pickett County Open Space is does the county want to allow it on Glacier or the Prince Creek? Because we have to sync up. We cannot. It will be a disaster if we don't sync up. And in the end, the conversation will start to happen this fall and winter, so we don't have to weigh in right this second, because there's pros and cons to all of it. But I think if we do it by area, then trying to do it overall, it's going to be easier, because overall means you got to bring everybody to the table, and it's just going to take a really, really long time.
I agree.
Gary, I'm actually meeting with Aaron next week, the new person at the BLM. Larry has moved on to somewhere else, Larry Sandoval, so I have a meeting with Aaron, can't remember the last name, next week to talk about where they're headed with Prince Creek.
Sound good. Yeah, because Alan Sapinski is their recreation planner that's doing it. And so, but yeah, they definitely will. They'll be coming to us and coming to you guys, and we're going to have a conversation about it. It's not going to just be dictated by one agency to the other.
Great. Kelly has a question.
I do. Can you just clarify something for me? Does the federal government maintain the definition of other power-assisted mobility devices? Are they the ones that say which qualify and which don't?
No, because
Decide where they can go?
the federal government, it's part of the ADA regulations. It's all about the Americans with Disabilities Act, and this is government. It gives to the local governments the ability to decide where they feel that it is safe to allow other powered devices, so that people with a powered wheelchair can access an area. People who need a Class 2 e-bike and cannot pedal have access to an area. So that's why you analyze your whole system and you see what can and cannot be used safely on these trails and areas. And so with that determination, that's how it goes. And they do leave a lot of the, like if we have a restricted area, we have the ability to restrict it to things that we feel are safe. So, because in an open area, to give you an example, Kelly, is a road. Smuggler Mountain Road is a good example of an area that is open to vehicles. It's open to e-bikes of all types, and it's open to, that doesn't have any restriction really on the use of this, except for, in the open part, we do, for open space at least, we're relying on the county's road standards and stuff. And when it's restricted, that's where it's more like the Rio Grande Trail. And the restricted area of the Rio Grande Trail is, a vehicle on the Rio Grande Trail is not safe. So we work through the regulations, and there are classifications for certain bikes and stuff. So a 32-inch wide tricycle or powered device is safe on the Rio if it can go less than 20 miles an hour, has brakes, and is electrically powered. So we have that ability to do that. And then in other areas where we don't feel it's safe to do so, or other regulations don't allow it right now, we have considered that closed.
And Kelly, just to clarify, 28 CFR Part 32 Title II regs does define other power-driven mobility device to mean any mobility device powered by batteries, fuel, or other engines, whether or not designed primarily for use by individuals with mobility disabilities, that is used by individuals with mobility disabilities for the purpose of locomotion, including golf cars, electronic personal assistance mobility devices such as segways, or any mobility device designed to operate in areas without defined pedestrian routes, but not a wheelchair within the meaning of this section. So there is a federal definition, just to clarify.
Got it. Great. Other questions, comments? Gary, I was just looking at the recreational routes. Is that total mileage, 105.85 recreational route mileage? Is that how I'm to read that? Yeah.
Yep.
Open 14, closed 39, restricted 47, 14% of. I'm trying to understand you mentioned that you put it in there, and I'm still trying to understand it. How many miles of fully accessible riding do we have here? That's a different question, but between all the county roads and all the Forest Service roads and all the.
Well, this is just county.
Yeah.
I didn't go into Forest Service roads.
Okay.
Okay, that's why it's only 105 and not a whole lot more. We tried to limit it to the county
It's
itself.
the county roads, okay.
Right, that, this doesn't include like the 100 Creek Toll Road and other areas. It
Right.
includes places on the county, like there are roads or other things.
If you decided this was a destination to come and do off-road mountain biking or e-biking even, you would have an awful lot of opportunity in many different parts of our county on all the BLM, Forest Service, and county roads.
Correct, and we have, that is all online. We have a really great web application that shows you all the trails that are open to full and all the trails that are open to e-bikes. And and that contains a lot more than 105.
Right, yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm going to look for a motion on this to approve the ordinance adopting the 2024 Other Power-Driven Mobility Device Management Plans, otherwise known as OPMDMPs, on the first reading. Second reading set for June 26th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll
second.
second. And I have
Okay.
a question.
Kelly.
Gary, do you expect some public comment on this at the hearing?
I don't know. You're not making any changes to the current law, so I don't, you might get some that want you to change things, so we'll see what that happens, but, you know, so this is a clarification. This is really not changing the status quo.
Yeah, note there was a letter to the paper today by a cyclist who's arguing for heavier, faster bikes on, single track, which you can, I'll refer you to. But all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Aye.
We're going to pass that one. Great.
Okay.
Thank
Thank ya.
you. Thanks for coming in. Always thorough explanations. Thank you very much. Next, ordinance approving and accepting the deed of conservation easement for Yank Creek Ranch, LLC. Paul is here.
Let me get this map going.
John, is this your thing? Yeah, come on up if you'd like. I'd love to have you up here. I'm going to invite John Starr to come to the table. Now, I understand John is one of the founding board members of, was it Open Space? Is that correct?
Not a founding board member,
Oh,
but
an early board member.
I have a couple of comments along those lines in a moment.
Right, great, excellent. And then Dale, why don't you come up and have a seat also? Otherwise, you'll just be tossing bone mots from the back of the room, and we'll all miss it.
Come on up.
John was on the Open Space Board, I believe, when I was first in office,
I think that's right.
or at some point in
Great,
office.
well, thank you for your service, first of all.
This is a good crew. My name is Paul Holsinger. I'm the Agriculture and Conservation Easement Manager for Picken County Open Space and Trails. And I have Dale Will here with me, who needs no introduction, and John Starr, the owner of this beautiful piece of property that we're about to talk about. And I'm excited to present this. We've been working with John and his partner to conserve this property with no funds out of the Open Space and Trails pot of money. We've used some of our funding to take care of some due diligence, but the property is located in the Thompson Divide area of Picken County. Carbondale is off screen here, but this is the Spring Gulch Nordic area, and it's part of a conglomeration of in-holdings that are right next to one of our open spaces, the Thompson Divide Ranch open space, and it's sandwiched between Yank Creek and Sand Creek to the east and west, and to the north it's it's Forest Service property. Here's kind of what it looks like zoomed in here. I know I heard the Board of County Commissioners are going to do a site visit up there, I think, next week, so we'll be sure to point that out to you.
Monday we're visiting, we're not visiting this specific property, but we're driving by.
You'll be driving by, you'll get a good view of the conservation values that are associated with this place.
Won't be able to get across the roaring creek waters
That's right.
to
Won't
this
try
property.
either.
Also,
We're
just to
going up
start,
the other way. We're
yeah.
going up to look at Jack Arbony's.
To orient ourselves, where's this? Is this proximate to the Ellen Hunt or Ellen Koner family property? Where's
Correct,
that?
yeah. So the Thompson Divide Ranch is the former
That's the okay.
Ellen Hunt
All right.
property. So
That's what we're doing.
yeah, here's
Okay.
our context map showing. And this is the Arbony property. This is the property we're talking about right now. And there's two other private properties that we're not talking about.
Okay.
Yet, I
Yet, exactly. So the property is 42 acres. It's currently has it's a single room cabin. It's about 900, 1,000 square feet.
600 square feet.
600 square feet, excuse me. And what the conservation easement is doing is preserving the property as it is right now, including the structures and essentially the size of those residential buildings. We've allowed the reasonable expansion of up to 1,000 square feet in this area. Though the area is zoned RS30, which means it could be expanded up to 5750 if a landowner wanted to. So the value, the traditional value of this property is tied up in that development, which John and his partner are restricting voluntarily to pursue tax credits as compensation for this. Open Space and Trails Board has seen this project. Staff is in favor. The Open Space and Trails Board is in favor. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Patty's got one.
I have one quick question.
Well, just a quick footnote. I can't resist. Sorry, Paul. When we did purchase the Ellen Hunt property, which we're quite proud to now have as an open space, we received a big grant from GOCO. And one of the things that we promised to do was try to keep this entire area quiet. And so I also personally really appreciate what John is doing, because it's the second domino in a sense since we acquired Thompson Divide Ranch, and I hope we can work something out with the others as well.
And I'll also point out now, Will Perry is behind us, and he's the owner of this parcel that I'm outlining. I think it's called Water Gap.
I wasn't going to name any names.
But he is also here, so we've got the neighborhood.
Great, thanks.
My question is about the existing 600 square foot cabin. It was built in the 90s with permits or without permits?
With permits.
To be honest, I don't recall whether we were required to have a permit, but
I don't have a problem maintaining that or even allowing it to go to 1,000, but
I don't know the
we need to make sure that it's legally constructed. Safe, public safety, health safety.
Well, the conservation easement would require that anything that he would do with his reserved rights that would require a permit, he'll have to have a permit. So unlike some of our open space master plans, this doesn't create the right to change the cabin. But we didn't do a lot of history work on.
So maybe we can just clarify
how the
that.
cabin
I don't want to open a can of worms. I just want to make sure we're being above board.
We'll clarify that for second
I want to
reading.
thank John for coming forward and offering us this great opportunity.
Thank you. John, did you want to say something?
Very briefly, I'll save most of my comments about not only our property, but the opportunities that are up there that you will be visiting to see. It's a magnificent inholding in the middle of the National Forest, tucked away in the corner of Pitkin County. But I'd like to take, if you will permit me a moment, to make a personal comment. As was indicated, I served as a trustee on the Open Space and Trails Board back in the 90s. I've said it many times. It was, without any doubt, the best public service I have ever done. And in addition, I also want to be very clear. I consider the Open Space and Trails program to be one of the magnificent things that we have in our mountain community. The opportunity I have had over the last year or so to explore this conservation easement with the OSTB staff has reminded me how very special the Open Space and Trails Board program and the staff have been and continue to be. I have the highest regard for the people I've worked with and hope to continue to work with. And as I say, I'll save my comments further about the property for second reading.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, John. Really appreciate that.
And just one last comment. I was on the board when we hired Dale Will. I think we made a pretty good choice 25 years ago.
I'm sure I made a good choice back then.
Thank you. And thanks, Paul, for really being the guy that did all of the work with John on making this thing
Great.
succeed.
We've got a good team here. Any other comments or questions from my board?
No, but I'm wondering, since we have Mr. Perry here, I don't know if he's gonna be able to come back for second read comment, or?
Will, would you like to say anything? Is there anything you want to add to this neighbor's action? You have to come up to a microphone.
Just to warm him up a little bit, I have to add that Will and I and Howie Mallory and Paul had a very nice day last week on Snowmass Falls Ranch, and Will was one of the former owners of that property
Right,
as well.
right, yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't accomplish everything we needed to do up there in terms of looking at the mines, but we had a good morning there. And as far as the Yank Creek property, that came into me and my wife and our children's from the family in 2016, but it was a property that had been in the family since the early 50s as part of our cattle ranch in Carbondale. We approached we were thinking a few years ago of doing a limited conservation piece on it, and it's an old homestead, so it has rights, I think, that are guaranteed by the homestead, access, things like that we need to figure out. I talked to John last week on the phone after I heard this was going on, and we discussed a bridge over Thompson Creek there, where we now ford it. The other day I went up there, and to drive to the property, I had to cross through the ford. Well, the water comes over the windshield, over the hood, and up the windshield when it's high like that. You're always wondering, you're going to get across when it's high.
Yeah.
But, once by now, it'll be dropping. We have a definite interest in seeing a bridge go in there at some point, and I would like to hopefully work with.
We have had some early discussions with Paul about exploring the possibilities. The bridge was there for many, many, many years. As you will see when you go for your site visit, the Cattlemen's Association have a cow camp up above near Will's property. And some years back, very high water spring came along and wiped out the bridge. The building possibilities for the bridge are sitting right there. They've got huge, big pipes that we can put in and run. And so we are looking forward to working with Paul and the staff to see what can be done to get that bridge up and running again, so that we can all have access to the upper part of this magnificent inholding.
Great, thank you.
A lot of the abutments are already there in terms of the dirt work. There's cement blocks, and it would be something that, along with right-of-ways and things like that, that if we were going to do some kind of future conservation thing on our property, we'd want to.
What is the span?
40 feet would do it. I mean, it's not that wide, but if you figured a 40-foot bridge, you would have
Right.
So we don't have to ford any rivers on Monday, right?
No, you roll right past it and say, I don't think we better go over there.
We'll point it out on our way past.
I was just thinking about, I remember when Bob Throm put a bridge in up in Upper Snowmass Creek, he used a railway car. He had a railway, somehow the frame of a railway car was just the right length, and it had the strength, and he bought that and
dropped it in, huh?
Hauled it in and dropped it in. Amory Levins has suggested we build bridges out of carbon fiber, so you could drop that in with a helicopter, but I won't guarantee how long it'll last.
Well, I built my old studio, or my new studio. I have an old bridge that crossed the Crystal River by the fish hatchery, used 66-foot riveted trusses, and they'd been torn out and laid at the ranch in the weeds there for a long time, and it
Point
forms
that out too when we go by.
Yeah, it's just the superstructure of my shop.
Recycled.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you. Thanks for the description. Any other conversation about this that we need to?
Nice to see you.
Well, let me just say again, I am so pleased to be sitting here with the owners of two of the properties adjacent to the Ellen Hunt property, Thompson Divide Ranch, and making good on our promise to GoCo to try to keep this entire area the way it's always been. And not allow the suburban development to get up there. I heard a fun story about when rural and remote was proposed around the county, and a lot of the Down Valley ranchers showed up and protested, and that's why it didn't get extended to this area. And we're essentially trying to catch up now and keep it rural and remote in character, if not in zoning.
One of the exciting things for me in this process of proposing a conservation easement has been the opportunity to learn much more about the ranching history of this area. This has been an active ranching for I don't even know how long. The names involved, you know them all: the Arbanese, the Wills, the Bertards, the Wagners. I am looking forward to working with the staff of OSTB and AVLT to learn more about this history, so when the management plan gets put together, we recognize these families.
Thank you, John.
I'm chagrined to say that in my entire lifetime, having been born on this end of the county, I have never been to this, so I'm really looking forward to the visit on Monday.
Can't wait to show you.
Yeah, cool. Very exciting. Okay, I'm going to call a question on this. This is an ordinance adopting the that's the other power-driven mobility device plan. This is approving and accepting the deed of conservation easement for Yank Creek Ranch.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Patty made a motion. Francie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks for the detail, and we'll see you back here on the 26th.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for coming in, John. Hope you come back. Will,
Good
come
to
on
see
back
you,
if
John,
you're
so
able to.
quickly.
Looking forward
Yeah.
to
Just
it.
at Dale's party.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, I have individual consideration items. First reading set for confirmatory public hearings on June 26th. First is the emergency resolution approving a grant agreement with Northwest Colorado Council of Governments for Adult and Family Services.
And I think they're online.
And Lindsay, I think, is online unless.
It might be Kelly or Chad.
Yep. We'll just put them in. Got it. Chad's up here. So Kelly? Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, Chad. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Tell us about this.
Yeah, thank you. I'll start us off and I'll get Kelly in. I'm Chad Fedowitz, the manager of senior services, and Lindsay was not able to join us this afternoon. So Kelly and I are coming with two separate but related emergency resolutions, approving a grant agreement with Northwest Colorado Council of Governments for both adult and family services and senior services. These are our every 2-year grant cycle with Northwest COG and Vintage for programs within the AFS department and senior services that we come every 2 years. And unfortunately, due to the timing of the state fiscal year, we generally have to do an emergency resolution because they have to be signed by us by the 15th of June every 2 years. And the timing doesn't really allow a normal contractual arrangement of time. And so that's why we're doing an emergency resolution at this time. So I'll let Kelly talk about her grant, and then I'll go into senior services.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. My name is Kelly Kirkpatrick. I manage adult and family services.
Get a little closer to your mic, Kelly. Something it's a little quiet. See if that works.
Can you hear me now?
That's better. Thank you.
Thank you. The grant that we are working on is a grant from Vintage. It's for case management. The amount is $10,000. The money that we use this for is for our care navigation program. This allows us to reach out to older adults over the age of 60 to offer services and like connection with services. So adults that are struggling and need help connecting to services. This money goes towards staff time.
Great. Thank you. So that's the $10,000 adult and family services portion.
Yeah, we need to do motions separately, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
separate
even
motions
though
on
they're
these.
kind of all in one.
Yeah, the information can be shared together, but there will be separate motions.
Okay, and then let's do the second one, and then we'll call on both of them.
Sure, and so for senior services, we receive funding for congregate meals, so that's meals here at the senior center, and home delivered meals, so meals that we prepare here in our kitchen with our staff, and we deliver out to older adults who aren't able to, for one reason or another, come to the senior center for meals, and we utilize volunteers for that program. This year, we are receiving $85,000 for congregate meals and $9,000 for home delivered meals.
Great.
I just want to make
Patty.
I want to make a comment, just so that the board knows, everybody knows, public knows. This is kind of one of the benefits we get as being a member of Northwest Colorado Council of Governments, is this assistance with these programs through Vintage and through the oversight of Northwest COG and the Northwest COG Board. So I just want to thank our county staff for working with the COG staff to get this done every year.
Great, thanks, Patty. Other questions from my board or comments? I see Steve making a move there.
Well, I would like to make a motion, and I'll do the first one first, to approve. Now, these are first readings set for public hearing on June 26th for the confirmation of the emergency resolution. So I make a motion to approve the emergency resolution approving a grant agreement with Northwest Colorado Council of Governments for Adult and Family Services.
I'll second.
And Patty, Steve and Patty, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and the second one for senior services, approving a grant agreement with Northwest Council of Governments for Senior Services. Who wants to make that one?
And I will make that motion also.
And then
And I will second
Patty
it
will
also.
second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks.
Aye.
Kelly and Chad, thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you, guys.
We got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your hard work. Okay, we are coming down to the second to last item on the agenda. Individual consideration item, public hearing, second reading today. And this is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between Pitkin County, City of Aspen, Town of Snowmass Village, Aspen Fire Protection District, Roaring Fork Fire Rescue for wildfire monitoring camera funding and operation. And we have, if Jeff Kruger is joining us, and I see Rick is in the room. Do you want to come up, Rick? Do you want to add anything to this?
Sure, be happy to.
And then Jeff is online. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Rick.
I've got Rick
Good
Ballantyne
afternoon.
in the room as well. So take it away. What are we doing here?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Really appreciate the board hearing this opportunity or taking on this IGA for a critical public safety initiative. My name is Jeff Kruger. I'm the telecommunications director for Pitkin County. I'm also joined by Rick Ballantyne, who's the chief for the Aspen Fire Protection District. Before you today is the second reading of public hearing for a resolution to approve an IGA between 5 partners for the operation and funding of the wildfire camera detection system. Just to give you a little bit of background, this system was installed in 2021 on 4 Pitkin County mountaintop sites. We were fortunate through Rick and his team to find a donor, and that was someone by the name of, I think many of you know, Jerry Hosier in Aspen, who contributed to the initial installation of those 4 sites. We've since added 2 more sites, one at Elephant, which sits above Redstone, and that one was funded by a donor by Stefan DeBates, who owns the Redstone Castle. And recently we just installed another camera at our Crown Mountain site, and that was also a donor, an anonymous donor, by the way, that was funded and then partially funded also by the Roaring Fork Fire District. This particular IGA includes 5 partners. Originally last year, we had 3 partners, which included Aspen Fire Protection, Pickens County, City of Aspen, Rick and his team. This is really not just a Pickens County problem, it's a regional problem. And he went out and sought other partnerships to include the town of Snowmass Village as well as the Roaring Fork Fire District. Rick has really had the foresight and the vision to start this program. He should be commended for that as well. Wildfires are, as we all know, seem to be much more predominant lately, and we've actually had them in our own backyard. We had the Lake Christine fire, we had the Glacier Creek fire. There's now a network of cameras, not only the ones on the Pickens County sites, but there are cameras on Holy Cross Energy Mountaintop sites, Excel Energy Mountaintop sites, as well as other utilities and county facilities. There's a total, I believe now, of 44 of these sites throughout Colorado, and this is growing. There's going to be an additional 20 now this year. So this is really expanded. Again, Rick has had the vision. We were the first to do this in Colorado, and I think probably some of the first to do this in the nation, to actually do a prototype and build out a network. The total funding amount for this, given that we have multiple partners, last year we contributed $40,000. This year, with the additional partners and scope, we've reduced that to a total of $32,000. The supplemental was just before you earlier today, and that was approved on first reading. So the supplemental is kind of matched along with this, and if this IGA is approved, then the supplemental would also go forward.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
And Rick, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for the kind words. But I got to tell you, this was not just me. We had a group of people all along the way since we started this program to get this started. And I want to commend the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you very much for allowing us to do this originally in 2021. I know originally it wasn't not everyone was taken with it because it was new technology, but I think we've been very successful. And yet, Jeff, I would just mention we had a chiefs meeting yesterday with all the chiefs from here to Glenwood Springs about this, and we're getting on the same page in terms of SOGs and how we're going to operate them. We're going to be doing a valley-wide SOG agreement so that we're all operating the same, so we get the maximum amount of protection and use out of these cameras. And as of yesterday, there's going to be a total of 60-something cameras coming up. You're right, very, very soon. Many of them by XL Energy, and some by Holy Cross. They took a look at what we were doing, and we really did explain to them why this is such a value. The original value was, early detection. Early detection is great, but it also allows us to be able to get eyes on a fire before we send troops out there, like calling aircraft if we need to. So it's been more than just early detection. It's been a lot more than that. It's been truly successful. And getting Roaring Fork Fire and Snowmass and other districts involved in this, Carbondale Fire, has been a really, really good thing. We're all on the same page, working collaboratively on this. So it's been great. And thank you guys for seeing the vision, allowing Aspen Fire and myself to go forward with this. Thank you.
Thanks for whipping on this. I see Francie and then maybe Patty.
Francie, can I just need a clarification? What's an SOG?
Standard Operating Guideline.
I'm like looking all over for that acronym. Thank you.
Thank you. Francie.
Yeah, Rick, sorry to be a little bit off topic, but could you give us an update on the Twin Lakes fire?
Sure. Been in contact with those folks over there. Right now, it died down quite a bit overnight, and so they've got crews on there. Thus far they haven't called for support from us or the Roaring Fork Valley, but it appears as though they've pretty much got a handle on it and expect it to be ongoing, but not expand any more than what they expect.
That was 160 acres.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
And where in Twin Lakes?
Right by Interlochen, right across the lake, close to the buildings, but not. They didn't. I don't think it got to the buildings.
They have a lot of dead bark beetle kill along that side.
Yeah.
So far I think they're out of the weeds, but no pun intended. But we'll see how it goes.
No cameras over there.
Yeah, thank you. My daughter and her son are hiking up in Missouri Basin, so I just want to make sure it wasn't going to go over the top.
I will tell you though, we did get a Pano AI alert on that yesterday. It detected smoke over the mountain, which was quite impressive because there was so many clouds. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
And it did detect smoke and gave us an alert on that.
Which camera would have detected that?
It was Ajax, on top of Ajax.
Top of Ajax saw the smoke
goosebumps.
from Twin Lakes. That's impressive.
It was pretty impressive, yeah.
Wow.
Which is a little scary because Twin Lakes is, it's probably near the same altitude we have right here. So if they're getting those kind of starts this early, it does give us reason for.
Do we understand
concern.
how it started?
I haven't heard anything on that yet.
But there's a lot of section along that side of Twin Lakes that does have some significant bark beetle issues.
And there are
up in there.
campers over there too. So
Yeah, there's a campground.
right. Steve has a question.
Yeah, let's see, one correction on the signature page on the IGA, it has me listed as the signator for the county. I would be more than honored to sign it, but Greg is the chair, so he should probably get the honors for that.
If you could sign my name. Well, thanks for catching that, Steve. We can fix that. Jeff?
This is a great.
Go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then just one comment about wildfire mitigation. I turn the cattle out that we bring here in the summertime, and to me, they are our wildfire mitigation up here because they're reducing the fuel load of grass and forests for later in the summer when things dry out. There will be less to burn up here, so I've got these bunch of happy cows out there munching away right now.
Could you bring some over to my place? The grass is getting really high. Thank you, Steve. Jeff, anything else?
Nothing else.
No, we're good. Okay.
Public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Huh, I knew that. And there's no one else in the room. Do we have anyone online? We have no one online. I'm going to assume, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board, and I will entertain a motion approving an intergovernmental agreement between Pitkin County, City of Aspen, Town of Snowmass Village, Aspen Fire Protection District, Roaring Fork Fire Rescue Authority for the wildlife monitoring camera funding and operation.
Wildfire monitoring, not wildlife.
I'll second.
Wildlife monitoring, that's next. We have a second, just for the final discussion on this. Rick, I was thinking it'd be great to see some of the results of positive identifications from these cameras. If you've got plumes or, I'm hoping somebody's compiling a greatest hits video of the successful, pickups of these things. And it'd also be great to know just to see how it's spreading and where it's spreading across Colorado.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of information on that. In fact, I'm not online on my computer right now. I was going to pull it up if you want to see it, what it actually looks like. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty impressive.
I know we had that one that was spotted along Highway 82 down on Little River Road area. Remember? Was it 2 years ago now?
It's out on the highway, which is useful.
No, there was one up that canyon.
Up on the side, right across Snowmass Canyon. Somewhere
But I'll be happy to compile some information and share it with you
That'd
guys.
be great. Send it along sometime. It'd be great to see.
And I know that we've got one more reading for the budget, so we're moving it along.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, currently we have this is the last signature we need. Everybody else has signed off on it already. But thank you for doing it.
Yeah, well, it's a great thing. Thanks for being the whip on it, and thanks again to Jerry Hosier for having the vision to get it started, and you guys found the right technology, and then for Stefan Debates for coming in. This is great.
And if it's okay, I have a pun. To let you guys know, and the public know, we just started a new 501c3 called the Aspen Wildfire Foundation. It's coming up. We're having our first fundraiser coming up in the end of the month. But the point is, it's just another avenue for people that want to help do wildfire mitigation, a way they can donate to our 501c3 for tax deduction to do more, get even more funds to do what we're trying to do.
Great. I hope you get a herd of goats and we can send them over to our Brush Creek Forest.
Can I ask about?
Yeah.
So did that kind of spin off from the land use application we had here, like on Willoughby? Remember, he donated some money for wildfire mitigation.
Don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Well,
it's a great idea.
We've got did we get a motion already?
Got a motion and a second.
And a second. I'm going to call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks. Rick, thanks for coming in. Jeff, thank
Be safe
you.
out there,
Thanks,
please.
everybody.
Good job.
Thank you.
Exciting
Have a great
stuff.
afternoon.
Looking forward to the greatest hits reel of
We'll get
plumes.
something for you.
Yeah. And I wanna put some on Highway 82 with, I think they'd be called speed cameras there. Okay, finally, we just have open discussion from the board. Any items for open discussion before we close this out?
No open discussion, John? I'm looking at John. He's always got another retreat for me, I'm sure of it.
Oh, I'm thinking of one, don't worry.
I was trying to think if there was something else I had in mind. I think I covered it all. Oh, I wanted to invite the CDOT Director, Shoshana Liu, to pay us a visit up here. I think she should come see us, because it's nice here. Why wouldn't she? We could take her on a little tour. I was riding my bike last weekend up to Ashcroft, and I happened to notice part of the road at mile 9.5 kind of disintegrating because it's near a really wet area. And I've already told Brian and Andrew about it, but I'm surveying the county roads from my bicycle. That's all I've got. Steve.
Yeah, I would have, if I was here for the commissioner comments, I would have mentioned this, but I will do so now. There were 2 recent deaths of residents from the valley, one being Matney Slanik, passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I announced that last week.
Yeah, and that's just a sad thing. They're a stalwart ranch family here. The other person who passed away is Karen Diatlo, who lived here for many years. She came here because of Windstar Foundation, and she was one of the founders and co-directors of the Earthbeat Children's Choir. She taught many generations of kids in the valley singing during all school long, but also during the summertime. They would sing at the Mountain Fair every year and things like that. So I think we're going to plan a memorial in the John Denver Sanctuary down at the Rio Grande Park sometime in August is what we're planning for her.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Francie.
Yeah, I'll just add that the service for Matt is at the Orchard in Carbondale on June 21st.
Great, thank you. Another bit of sad news. He reminded me, a young person from the community, Bailey Caddo, passed away about just a little over a week ago in Manhattan. And it was determined that it was an accidental fentanyl overdose. She was discovered, in her bed the next morning. Once again, it's yet another fentanyl overdose death, and I can think of several from people in our community, young people in particular at university or, traveling. And all the advice we give our children is just don't accept anything from anyone at this point. It's really sad unless you're certain of the provenance and the sealed packaging and all that, because it seems that fentanyl can appear in so many different forms, and it's taking people's lives, and it's tragic. I don't have any information about Bailey's a memorial or anything, but Bailey was a graduate of Aspen High School this year.
Just the week before.
Just a week, the week before. It was really, really a sad thing. Thank you very much, everybody. This is the end of our meeting. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Patty? I'll second that.
Second.
Beat you to it. All in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Greg.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.